Welcome to this edition of Deep Dive. I am Thomas Keene, and today we are looking at a date that spans centuries of profound transformation. We are moving from the brutal conclusion of a royal rivalry in the 16th century all the way to the high-tech systems that effectively run our modern financial world.
It really is a fascinating spread of events for February 8th, Thomas. We have a major turning point in the Tudor era, the birth of electronic financial markets, and three of the most influential creative minds to ever live. Let's start with a moment that changed the course of the British monarchy forever. On February 8th, 1587, Mary, Queen of Scots, was beheaded at Fotheringhay Castle. She was only 44 years old and had spent nearly half her life, 19 years to be exact, in English imprisonment. The final blow came after she was convicted of complicity in the Babington Plot, which was a plan to assassinate her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I.
Right. From an infrastructure and governance perspective, this was really the resolution of a massive security risk for the English state. Mary had become this permanent focal point for internal dissent. While her execution was incredibly controversial and Elizabeth reportedly hesitated to sign that death warrant, it effectively secured Elizabeth's throne. It ended the immediate threat of a Catholic uprising centered on Mary as a legitimate claimant.
Absolutely. It was a cold, calculated move to stabilize the realm, even if it meant the death of a kinswoman. While we reflect on that heavy political history, Thomas, the 8th of February also marks the beginning of three lives that shaped our modern culture in much more inspiring ways. We start with the father of science fiction, Jules Verne, born in 1828.
Verne is such an interesting figure because he was essentially dreaming up the future of transportation and exploration. In 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas and Journey to the Center of the Earth, he was imagining technologies like the submarine long before they were practical realities. He wasn't just writing adventure stories, he was providing a blueprint for human technological ambition.
And that same spirit of defining an era continued a century later. In 1931, James Dean was born. He only made three major films, Rebel Without a Cause, East of Eden, and Giant. But he became the ultimate cultural legend. His roles captured the specific sense of teenage disillusionment and social estrangement that really resonated with the post-war workforce and youth culture, before his tragic death at 24.
No way is it a coincidence that these legends share a birthday. It is remarkable how much influence Dean had in such a short window. And speaking of film legends, we have John Williams, born just a year later in 1932. When you talk about the industrial scale of Hollywood, Williams is a titan. He has 5 Academy Awards and has composed the scores for Star Wars, Jaws, E.T., and Jurassic Park. You cannot think of modern cinema without hearing his work in your head.
Exactly. The way Williams uses music to build tension or wonder is a masterclass in emotional labor, Claire. His work actually structures how we experience those stories. It's a perfect bridge to our final major topic, which is another kind of system that structures our modern experience. I'm talking about the launch of the NASDAQ.
That is remarkable. This is right in my wheelhouse. On February 8, 1971, the NASDAQ held its very first trading day. It was the world's first electronic stock exchange. Before this, trading was a very physical, decentralized, and honestly quite chaotic process. By introducing computerized trading systems, the NASDAQ revolutionized how securities were bought and sold, essentially creating the digital backbone of the global economy.
It completely changed the workplace for traders. Moving from shouting on a floor to monitoring a screen was a massive shift in how financial labor was performed. It brought a level of speed and efficiency that we now take for granted. But in 1971, it was an incredibly bold leap into the future of work. It really paved the way for the instant connectivity we see today at deepdive.neuralnewscast.com.
From the fall of a queen to the rise of electronic markets, February 8th shows us how much the world can change through both individual legacies and systemic innovation. We have covered quite a bit of ground today, Claire.
We certainly have, Thomas. Thank you for joining us for this look at the history that shaped today.
Deep Dive is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. Explore history every day on Neural Newscast.